TipTut.
Hello everybody and welcome back to TipTut. Now, today we're continuing with our Innerman vector from hand-drawn text tutorial illustration thing. I don't know. Let's dive right in. You can see here that I've got some logos that I've made just from standard fonts. I basically took the font and I applied the linear gradient shadow thing that I did in a previous tutorial to give it a bit of definition and to give it that effect that I really enjoy. And here I've done the same thing, but with a more serifed kind of calligraphy style font, and I gave it a little bit of decoration. Now I've imported the hand-drawn sort of draft that I made previously, and what we're going to do now is we're going to vectorize this. So let's just get started, shall we? I've put it on its own layer here, layer 3, and I've grouped all the different elements together because inside I've basically just got the circle, the shading, and the draft line work. So I've grouped those all together. I'm just going to lock them now and pop a new layer on top. Oops, sorry, excuse me, not pop a new layer on top. We're going to start drawing on a new layer inside layer 3, rather. That'd be a bit easier. Now, if you have a graphics tablet with a stylus, you can just do this freehand on the computer and it will vectorize it really well. But I'm going to do it with the pen tool just for those people that don't have access to that kind of tool, should we say. So let's just get started. I'm going to grab the pen tool here and I'm going to make sure that I'm drawing in the right color by selecting light gray for my fill. And what we're going to do, you can see here, we can just create any shape that you want just by clicking and dragging with the pen tool. And that's how we're going to basically vectorize this artwork. So it might be better for you if you wanted to work with no fill. That's also fine, just so you can see the lines by themselves. However, when you deselect them, obviously you won't be able to see anything at all. So maybe let's have a nice green, violent green that we can see on a nice thin stroke, just so that when we finish drawing something, we can actually see the exact shape that it's going to make, which is perfect. So let's dive right in. You can want to zoom in nice and close so you can get all of those little nuances and details that you had in the previous sort of sketch that you made. And then you basically just decide where to begin. So that seems like a good point. And you see here it's got a slight curve as it comes around. So when you see that curve start, you probably want to go down to the bottom edge of this eye here and click and hold. And what that'll do is that'll give you, if you then click and while still holding, drag the mouse around, that gives you a curved line that you can sort of control to your heart's content. So you can just drag that around, give that a nice curve like that. And that's basically the path that your stroke will follow. Now, as you can see, we can't now just go over here because we've got this odd curve. What you actually need to do is hit escape, click on that anchor point again, and it gives you a straight edge from there. So it maintains that previous curve that you made, but gives you a straight edge to work with for everything else. That way, what you can do is drag to your heart's content to get these nice, very slight curves. Tap escape, click on that point again, and then you can have the perfectly straight angular curves that you want when you need them. So let's just come along here. We probably want to put it about there like that, and then get in a nice severe curve. And now you can see that if I did this, it's maintaining that curve, which if this handle here was a bit shorter, that probably would fit perfectly. As it's not, we're going to have to hit escape again and come around over to this point and see if we can't create that curve that we need. Now, that's not perfect, so let's do it a bit slower. If you press Z so you can zoom in all the way and then go back to your pen tool and click on that last point, let's come here and instead take it halfway and see if we can't get that corner where the other line stops to be a bit smoother, like that. Perfect. Then we can drag this round, click up here, pull into place. Perfect. That's looking a lot smoother. Let's tap escape, zoom out a bit, and then follow this path around. So I want that bit to bulge out at the bottom. So we'll do that and then we'll come back in and we say that bulge is nice. But we actually then want this, we hit escape, to have its own path here. So if you click and drag, if you just click rather, let's go back to that and then back again. If you click and drag, it'll give you another handle. Now, if you were to try and do that, it would create another handle there. So what you in fact want to do is when you click to create your handle, like so, you then hold Control and you can control the points of those handles. Makes sense. You hit Control to control things. And what you can do is give it a nice bit of a bulge and then position it into place with the arrow keys, and then come back in and give it a bit more of a tweak there, and then bring this handle around so it comes in a bit smoother. And then if you click off using the selection tool, you can see your path, and that looks pretty good to me. So let's select our path again, go back to the pen tool, click on our last point, and keep working on this eye. Now, I'm going to finish this eye on camera so that you guys can see my sort of thought process. And then I'm probably going to fast forward through the rest of the letters and come back and do the M in slow motion too, just so that you guys can basically have a bit of an understanding of how my mind works, but you don't have to sit through me doing all of the same boring letters. If we hold Control there, it gives us a handle. We can then fix that slightly. Now, here's a good tip. Here, we've only got one handle because we started with just a click and no click and drag or click and control. But we want two. So if you go up here to the convert, you can convert selected anchor points to smooth or convert selected anchor point to corner. Now, because this is a corner, if we hit smooth, see there, it smoothens it out. You then hold Control, push that handle back to where you wanted it. Say there, and then bring this, bring this handle over a bit. And that gives us a bit more of a smoother line on that corner there, which is the effect I was going for. So let's grab this one and maybe here, say, let's come around and drag that. Now on big arcs like this, you want as few anchor points as possible. Let's zoom out so that you maintain that smooth arc, because the more anchor points, the more lumpy it kind of gets. And that's not what you want. You want a nice smooth vector, like so. And let's do that, which is a bit sharp, I know, but we can come back and fix that in a second once we've finished doing this arc here. So bring that around and then we'll bring it down straight into this point. Like so. Okay, so we're happy with that. We don't want this little lump at the end here. Oops, let's put that back. What we in fact want to do is smooth out this little lump because it's looking a bit fake and sort of bulby. So if we control that point and turn it to a corner, now I know this looks really bad, but what we can then do is drag these handles back in, and that gives us one handle to work with that we can shorten it all out on. So we'll put it in like that, and then we'll grab this handle. We'll shorten it like that. We'll grab this handle and maybe bring it in like that. Drag this out a bit, put it that way. Perfect, much better. Give this one a bit more space to work with there. Cool, that looks pretty good to me. So come back over here. Zoom back in again so we get a bit more control. And finish off this T. Now, the understanding here is that this is supposed to be drawn for real with a calligraphy pen or something. Now we're faking that, but the way you get that to work and look as if it is, if you try and maintain a constant thickness through all of your parts, because if you think about it, the size of the nib isn't changing if you were drawing this with a real pen, but you have to kind of fake that. So the way you fake that is to make sure that you have a fairly constant thickness in each part of your letter, if that makes sense. So it can change depending on how you're supposedly holding the pen or whatever. But in a single arc like this, it shouldn't go thick to thin, because as you're drawing here, the nib would stay at the same angle. And as it starts to twist around, that's when it would taper off. But hey, that looks pretty good, right? That looks okay. Yeah, I think that looks okay. So what I'll do now is I'll fast forward through the N, N, E, and R so you can see me working on it. And then next episode, we'll come back and we'll do the MA and the N because I'm not quite happy with this A. So I'll show you how you can sort of do that differently. You don't have to stick to the sketch, say. Okay, so let's fast forward through this bit and I will see you at the end. Okay, there we go. So we've outlined everything in the inner. I'm just going to finish off this E here, doing the inner part like so. And you'll notice there, whilst I do this, I'm going to talk about the N next to it. You can see that I didn't entirely stick to the sketch, and that's fine because what looks good on paper or in a sketch doesn't always look good in a final product, and that's nothing to worry about. It's okay. Well, honestly, it's almost expected that you change things between your original sketch and your sort of final product. So if you find yourself making changes to your artwork, it's really not anything to worry about. It's a perfectly natural part of the process. I say it's encouraged because, hey, you're never going to get it right the first time. I don't know anybody that can and anybody that ever has. So there's the part of inner. Just for a little treat, here's what I'll do for you guys. I'll pop in that part here and I'll ditch the stroke, and then I'll take this path and we'll empty it. Hang on. There we go. We'll minus the front. Perfect. So we've vectorized that first part of the logo. Now, the I there is a bit close to the N. It's making it look like it's saying maybe something like thn rather than inner. But we will fix that next time when we also look at the man word down here as well. So thanks for stopping by, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. And stick around for next time when we're going to finish this bad boy off.
Remember to subscribe for more tips, tricks, and tutorials. Thanks for watching.